him to the president and to the minister's family, hoping in fact to undermine the minister's power. So who are we talking about? What minister are we talking about is really prominent at this time in 63? JFK was the president that got killed.
His wife?
No, not his wife.
His father?
He was a prominent African American. Here, I'll try and give you a hint. Martin Luther King. The I Had the Dream speech. That's the minister. So the president, Lyndon B. Johnson, is taping himself, but he's also taping Martin Luther King because he wants to find dirt. He wants to find dirt on this guy. Why would he want to try and find dirt on Martin Luther King? Use it against him. You know, if CJ is running for office or CJ's running for something, and I know something that has a little bit of dirt on him, and I bring that to everybody's light, are you going to vote for him? Are you going to kind of question him a little bit? You're going to be like, what is this? You know, I thought this guy was supposed to be a minister. I thought CJ was supposed to be this great guy, and he's running around doing all this dirty behavior. You know, he's out running the streets at night. So it makes him look bad. So, where do we leave off here? The president, Lyndon B. Johnson, is counting on him, the minister, Martin Luther King, to assist him in producing and passing the legislation of the decade and possibly the century, a civil rights bill that would stop discrimination against African Americans. The civil rights legislation is eventually passed, as the presidency, the director, continued to tape others without their knowing about it. So, what we're going to do now, I've had a small Venn diagram on the bottom of your sheets, and I want you guys to work. It says LBJ, MLK, and Hoover. Hoover is the director of the police this time. He's the director of the FBI. And they're the ones that are taping everybody. So you have Lyndon B. Johnson, who's the president, who's taping people, who's getting this information. He's also trying to get civil rights passed. You have Martin Luther King, who's a minister. He's the major African-American figure trying to get civil rights passed and through. You know, so we can drink at the same water fountain. We can eat at the same place. You know, we can be at the front or the back of the bus. It's our choice. And you have Hoover, who's the main person that's taping these conversations and trying to discredit Martin Luther King. So I want you guys to sit there at your desk and come up with 3 things that Lyndon B. Johnson, he did, or who he was, or about him, and 3 things about Martin Luther King, what he did, who he was, and something about him based off the reading, based off that little scenario, and 3 things about Hoover. Okay? So work as a group to come up with those 3 things that you know. You can pull things that you already knew. So, for example, Martin Luther King came with the I Have the Dream speech. That could be one thing, Curtis.
No, pencil.
Yes, it is. Or, you know, Curtis, I know you like Malcolm X, so yours could be Martin Luther King was peaceful, unlike Malcolm X. You know, so you can bring in your favorite character.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted me to tell you, Ms. Blackwell, that the staff meeting is canceled, that it's tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
So,
And you 3 guys, you're going to be working on the same thing, except you're how the inside, you're how me, not the outside. So, which one do you want to start with first? Which one do you think will be the easiest to start with? Martin Luther King? Tell me one thing about Martin Luther King that you already know. He was a minister. So that would all be number 1. So you can compare and contrast the differences between the 2 leaders. Don't have an extra pencil, so you would have to share this. You guys can just work that pencil around, okay? And then, so now, that'll be the same thing for you. So now we know what makes these people different and what makes them all for the same goal. You know? And we'll come back to the 3 things that they all share in a minute. Once you guys put that down. How are we doing over here? Well, he didn't stop civilization. What did you say, Kurt?
Like he played a major role in it.
That's perfect. He played a major role in, well, not just civilization, but in civil rights. That's what we're really trying to focus on. So he played a major role in civil rights.
Give me the pencil.
I know, that's why I used to
How do we do that? So let's take Lyndon B. Johnson. What does he have? That's very good. Deanna. Lyndon B. Johnson, we know, he's the president this time, right? What do you think he was or he had that none of the other 2 people had?
5 seconds.
Yeah, power. Okay, so he had powers over the president, so would that make him different than Martin Luther King and Hoover? It wouldn't, so they were the president too. So that was something that, you know, just Lyndon B. Johnson could say, hey, look, I'm the head chief.
Martin Luther King, LB,
This, OB.
So he's the president.
he is Leonard Baines Johnson.
So we put down one president, no president.
But he's just the president, yeah. You know, we know if he's the president, we know he has power, right?
Trying to take it. He was.
And we already know that, that's a given.
Who assumed office as a.
No, actually, no.